There is a moment, right before someone loses control of their life. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's a quiet fracture, a sentence that lands too deep, a fear that gets touched, a need that gets seen, and someone else notices. Welcome to DarkMind Academy, where we don't study people to fear them, we study them to understand the game being played around them. Most people think manipulation is force. It isn't. Force is obvious. Force creates resistance. The most effective control never feels like control. It feels like connection. Every human has pressure points, emotional seams, psychological soft tissue, insecurities about appearance, fear of abandonment, loneliness that aches at night, guilt that never fully healed, a hunger to be chosen, a need to be validated, a secret shame buried under confidence. These aren't flaws. They are human. But in the wrong hands, they become entry points. Some individuals move through the world differently. They do not experience guilt the same way. Empathy does not restrain them. They see people the way a strategist sees terrain. Not enemies, opportunities. They don't always scan like masterminds. Often, it's simpler than that. A belief that everyone is weak somewhere. A willingness to test until something bends. Charm opens the door. Observation finds a crack. Pressure widens it. And the target rarely sees the moment it happens. It starts with questions that seem harmless. Tell me about your last relationship. Are you close with your family? Do you like your job? Have you ever felt misunderstood? These aren't conversations. They're reconnaissance. While one person speaks to feel seen, the other listens to map vulnerabilities. Social media makes it easier. Posts about heartbreak, captions about feeling lost, late-night tweets about loneliness, subtle complaints about work. Digital footprints are emotional fingerprints. Once the fracture line is found, entry begins. They become exactly what you've been missing. If you're lonely, they overwhelm you with attention. If you fear abandonment, they promise permanence. If you doubt yourself, they validate you intensely. If you carry trauma, they position themselves as safety. It feels perfect, too perfect, because it was engineered. Affection comes fast. Understanding feels uncanny. Chemistry seems rare. This phase is intoxicating. The brain lights up under validation. Dopamine rises. Oxytocin bonds. The nervous system relaxes. Finally, someone sees you. But here's what most people miss. The same hand that gives comfort is learning exactly how to take it away. And that's where control begins. Subtle shifts, a delayed reply, a slight withdrawal, a comment that lands a little too close to your insecurity. You're lucky I'm patient with you. Most people wouldn't understand you like I do. You're overthinking again. Tiny fractures, small destabilizations. Not enough to leave, just enough to create doubt. Now, the dynamic changes. You start chasing the earlier version of them. The warmth, the intensity, the safety. This is psychological conditioning. Intermittent reinforcement. Reward. Withdrawal. Reward. Withdrawal. It's the same pattern that makes gambling addictive. The uncertainty creates obsession. You don't fight harder because you're weak. You fight harder because your brain is trying to restore stability. Meanwhile, your fear of losing them activates. If you fear abandonment, their distance feels catastrophic. If you struggle with self-worth, their criticism feels like truth. If you crave validation, their approval becomes oxygen. They don't have to shout. They just apply pressure to what already hurts. In romantic relationships, this often looks like hot and cold behavior. Intense closeness followed by sudden emotional distance. The partner tries harder, gives more, tolerates more. In families, it looks like guilt. After everything we've done for you, duty weaponized. In workplaces, it looks like conditional approval. I expected more from you. Now performance becomes desperation. In scams, it looks like urgency tied to emotion. A crisis, a deadline, a story crafted around trust. In cult dynamics, it looks like belonging offered to the isolated. Isolation is powerful. Humans are wired for connection. When belonging is threatened, rational thinking weakens. Under emotional stress, the amygdala activates. Fight or flight overrides logic. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for critical reasoning, steps back. Fear, guilt, shame, loneliness. These emotions narrow perception. When perception narrows, suggestion increases. And this is where the real shift happens. You begin to justify what once felt wrong. They're not always like this. They've been through a lot. I'm just sensitive. Maybe I deserve this. That's cognitive dissonance. Your reality conflicts with your attachment. So your mind adjusts reality to preserve the bond. Over time, resistance fades. Compliance increases. Secrets are shared. Money is transferred. Boundaries dissolve. Silence replaces protest. And most dangerous part? It doesn't feel like you're being controlled. It feels like you're trying to save something. That's why this form of manipulation is so effective. It weaponizes humanity. But here's the shift. Understanding this does not make you paranoid. It makes you aware. Awareness restores perception, and perception restores power. Pause here. If you're beginning to recognize patterns, not just in others, but in yourself, subscribe to DarkMind Academy. Because control thrives in ignorance. And we don't stay ignorant here. The strongest defense is not aggression. It's clarity. Know your triggers. If abandonment terrifies you, admit it. If validation drives you, recognize it. If guilt controls you, question it. Shame keeps vulnerabilities hidden. Hidden vulnerabilities are easier to exploit. When you face them without self-contempt, they lose leverage. Set boundaries early, not after emotional investment. Observe consistency, not intensity. Fast attachment is often strategy, not destiny. Watch for isolation attempts. Watch for blame shifting. Watch for narratives that make you doubt your perception. Trust actions over words. And if you find yourself entangled in a dynamic that feels destabilizing, distance is not weakness. It's recalibration. Sometimes the most powerful move is disengagement. No drama, no announcement, just silence. Manipulators rely on access. Remove access, remove leverage. Remember this. Every human has fractures. That is not weakness. It is reality. But fractures only become entry points when they are unconscious. The person who knows their own pressure points cannot be easily controlled. The person who builds self-worth outside of external validation cannot be easily hooked. The person who sees patterns early does not need to escape late. Dark psychology is not about becoming predatory. It is about recognizing predation. The world does not reward the unaware, but also does not control the conscious. Study the game, not to play it recklessly, but to never become a piece on someone else's board. And once you begin seeing it, you'll notice something unsettling. Most manipulation doesn't look evil. It looks familiar. It looks charming. It looks supportive. It looks like love. And that realization changes everything. Welcome to the deeper level of awareness. This is DarkMind Academy, and we're just getting started.